All right, so we're just gonna keep this candid. I'm filming here. I'm also on live. But the question was, what got me into law of attraction? For a long period of time, I don't talk much about this. I just filmed a video where I just said this, but I don't talk much about this just because it's such a touchy subject. But in actuality, I don't like the word reality because I feel like we live in a video game, but in actuality, it's part of my story, so I feel like I should talk about it. And again, all my intention for anything that I put out there, I film, I make music, I make content, I make, whether, you've heard me say it a million times, whether it's a 6-second piece of content, 2 to 3 minute song, anything that I put out, it doesn't even matter. I just want it to hopefully help someone, give them hope, or take them from a period of time in a moment that they're feeling like bad or not there, not all together. That's all that I hope, that it just takes them from that moment, or it makes their day a little bit better. Like pretty much simple, straightforward, right? So then I think there's a lot of fear around me posting about things that I experience in and out of sobriety. I just don't like to talk about it, but I feel like maybe I've never actually, I don't think I ever, that was probably the first video that I just posted, I talked about it, because I just don't want to be like that's what I talk about a majority part of the time. I think there's some, not that that's not important, because there's things like I have to correct what I say. I feel like I have to correct what I say so that I don't hurt someone else's feelings. But the actuality of it is, this is just my experience. These are the things that I went through, and what helped me get out of that place and get sober. A lot of it definitely was, to bring up your question, had a lot to do with law of attraction manifestation. And that could sound like woo-wah to most, especially people, especially a lot of the program, and nothing against the program. I've known it to help so many people. And for a long time, I always said the big book is it should be everyone in this entire world should read it, because if you just switch the one word, that's what I had trouble with for so long. You just switch the one word. If you haven't read the big book, because I don't even want to make this like a program or whatever thing. If you haven't read that, switch the word for whatever your thing is, because most people in this life have some sort of thing, right? Some sort of void. It could be drugs, it could be shopping, it could be gambling, it could sex, it could be, I don't think I can say that word on here. It could be anything, right? Us humans, very few are probably just chill, and power to them if they're just chill and they could just work and they're happy all the time, and that's great, and I think that's a lot a misconception, especially people see that things that I post. Now in my life and where I sit now, I think 99.9% of the time I am like this, and I'm happy and I'm grateful and I love to post and I love what I do, and but there is the small percent that is not like that I'm trying to be more transparent in posting. It's just always, no matter if it's what I do, like work or anything else, right? When you're feeling that way, it's like you just don't want to freaking do it, but I think it's super important for me to also show that side, just because I just want there to be complete transparency. And I understand that my excessive personality can seem like it's just like that all the time. Now, mind you, a majority part of my life, it was not. It was completely opposite of what you probably see on social media. And it was, I don't know. I think a part why I don't like to talk about this either is just because I just don't want to go back there. I don't want to think about those things. I don't want to talk. Life, I'm so grateful for all the things that I learned and I went through, and the struggles that I had. I'm grateful for all of those things, because if I didn't have all of those things, go through all those things, then I wouldn't be sitting where I'm at now. And I think that the perspective of that is super important, and the jump of staying away from third-party things, right? It could be people, places, things, drugs, sex, shopping, like I voiced earlier. It could be all those things, but it's so much more than that. The reason, in my experience, the reason I did all of those things is because I was internally feeling void, right? Externally, I was feeling a spiritual malady, right? The spiritual malady being things that I'm feeling externally, third party things that I don't want to feel the way I feel every single day. So I'm willing to like implant whatever I possibly can to take me out of the feeling. It's just like that simple. It's really that deep. Yet for me, I would tend to complicate it. Well, it's all these other things and I would do this, but I can't do that because of this person or this situation, or it's too late, or I'm too old, or I'm not old enough, or whatever the case may be. It was always an excuse, you know? And these are like, I feel like those are touchy subjects, but these are the things that need to be talked about, at least for me, because those are the messages when I would hear those things, those like hard truths, those were the messages that helped me. That was the person in my real life that helped me grow and get past all the past prehistoric things that I thought I knew how it should have been done. It was like that simple. Every single time that the next worst thing would happen in my life, every single time, it was just a new excuse. It was just another thing, right? And we're just talking about like the evolution of a human being. Yes, we want to go after things in life, and that's totally fine. You know, career, job, you want a house, you want an awesome relationship, you want a car, whatever it may be, right? And that's not bad. Like anyone tells you that it's bad, it's not. It's like human beings. These are cool things that we get to experience here on planet Earth. But I was just making it so difficult. And I think a lot of people that, that come on here, hear me talk about a lot of this stuff, and I do. For one, I can't help myself. I truly can't help myself because I know. That's why it's like I don't want to go back to that place and have a lot of these conversations. But I know in my experience, on my journey, what it felt like. And it was horrible. I don't ever want to feel the way I felt back then in comparison to how I do now. So there's like a total switch. But I also think having a platform and a lot of things that I talk about that have helped me, but diving a bit more deeper into my story, just like I say, it's kind of a disservice not to have a platform and then talk about things that potentially could help other people. I think it's a bit of that as well. It might be like a little bit of a disservice for people that are specifically going through those things, and for me to voice the things that helped me along the way. It's just tricky because I don't really want to, I don't want to go through those things, but then I talk about the things that I have to do the things that I don't necessarily want to do in order to get to where I want to be. And I think that's super important. And at the end of the day, people are going to have their opinions and they're going to say what they're going to say. And I'm also at a place where I've like dealt with that long enough. And I sit with this and I talk about this all the time. People that are going to say those things, if my intention from the jump to post videos, to post content, to post whatever it is, if my intention from the jump is to help someone, and if someone has, like I know that's like, if someone has anything negative to say, it's either they just don't understand, they don't have the awareness, or thing I talk about all the time, hurt people. No matter if you do social media, no matter if you're living your life or you have a coworker that's just nasty, there's like a nasty person. You have to understand, like have sympathy and empathy towards those people. I know it's hard because they're nasty, but have sympathy and empathy. Those people are going through something, and if I look back at those times that I was going through something, mind you, okay, maybe I wasn't as nasty as those people, but like I could understand when I'm feeling so down and the whole world's against me and this, and then someone says something, or you see someone living the life that you feel you deserve, and then you could feel a little resentful towards that, even if you're a great person, like you could feel. So if I could just have like an inkling of like putting myself in their shoes and then having that understanding and then the awareness that I now know, I'm like, damn, those people are just hurting. So for me to go out of my way to make their day worse, for one, it brings me, I talk about frequency, manifestation, law of attraction, frequency all the time. For one, it brings me down to that frequency, which I don't want to be at, and it doesn't help anybody else, right? It brings me back down to that frequency, and it doesn't help anybody. So, but it's just, life's a journey. Like no one's perfect. We're all just here trying to figure it out. And the more we could be there for each other and support each other and give words of, they say words of wisdom and things that potentially could help other people, I think the world would be for sure a better place. And I think there's a lot more of that now, especially having social media and so many different platforms, so, but yeah, anyways, those are things that I went through. And once I just had to get out of my own way. I didn't know where, I was told, and I was told multiple times, I couldn't, my brain, the way my brain works, I can't trust myself. Like anything that I'm trying to do is trying to get me to go back to that place, to get messed up, or I can't say the word, but KILL, to not be here anymore, myself. So that was a tricky one for me. I was like, so I can't trust myself. Like I can't trust myself. Then what do I do? Like, should I eat soup? Like it was that deep for me. I was like, I really want to get better, and I don't want to feel the way I felt every single day. I don't want to feel this anymore. And I understand, I hit rock bottom so many different times. I've been in and out of, jail's institution. I've also not been here. And I'm here, so I'm super grateful for that. These are things that, it's so weird for me to talk about this stuff, but I think maybe it's important though, like and again, this is all train of thought, this is like stream of consciousness, and a lot of you guys know I want things to be as transparent as possible and as unedited as possible, with hopes, to help whoever, or at least even if it's like motivational. But I think the reason maybe I also don't, it's so comfortable, and you'll hear me say a lot, like get comfortable, uncomfortable, get comfortable getting uncomfortable. I've created this comfortability around talking about a lot of these things because they have helped me, but what I think I've neglected is going into a lot of the things that aren't so great that I've gone through, because a lot of the things that I talk about now, 95% of it, I could tell to my past self, like myself that was like trying to understand this stuff, 95% of it, but the other 5% being a super heavy weighted 5%, it wouldn't work for my past self. And I think because it's so heavily weighted in that 5%, I have to talk about a lot of things that if I was I talk about different levels. So I'm trying to think of how to voice this, how to communicate this properly. I do think we're in a video game. I think we live in a video game. It's a simulation, I swear. It's just like how you play it. We're all dealt cards, some worse than others. It's that simple. And how do you play your cards that you're dealt? If you've seen someone, like you want to go after something in life, and you've seen someone that either looks like you, sounds like you, or has anything to do with something that you could relate to, that means that you can also do it. The things that we did, and I've done it for a long time. I used to do it with snowboarding when it was like working towards the Olympics. I would see all these people, and there were people that I would think read as human beings were like, oh, we have that ability. Like I could do that. I see this person doing all this stuff. I could totally do that too. Like, why is this person, it's like, but that's not the energy we want to come from. That's not the energy. It's like, why does this person have to do that? And it was a lot. I remember I used to write on posters, like snowboard posters. I was like, why not me? Oh, that makes me so sick. It's so sad. It's so like boo-hoo sad. A lot of my understanding and a lot of things that have helped me push forward in life, I don't come up from like a military background or anything, and I have no idea why it resonates with me. Maybe training through snowboarding is why it does, but it's very military mentality. Like that's how like the come up of everything has helped me. This is how we're going to do it. This is how it's going to get done. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. It's non-negotiable. This is how we're doing it. Like this is how it's done now. Like it's very simple, right? And that's not like reciprocate. A lot of people don't digest information like that. So I try to open up and talk about things that most people can relate to, in hopes that I could reach a wider audience to help a wider audience. Like it's that simple. But what really helped me, because I've had both sides. It's been very military mentality that I didn't grow up with my parents in the military, nothing like that. I just like that. At least it worked for me, because they say like the easier, softer way. The easier, softer way never worked for me. It never worked for me. It's like, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take my time. I'm going to enjoy the process, and I'm going to, and I would just like procrastinate, or I wouldn't put things off. At least that's like how it happened for a little bit. And I know, again, that contradicts a lot of the things. That's like part of the 5% that I spoke about earlier. It contradicts a lot of the things that I talk about now. Be good to yourself, like be kind. Things are happening for you, like envision it. And you know what? Maybe looking back, maybe that part of the 5%, if I were to tell myself, maybe it would have happened, thinking about it now, maybe it would have happened a lot sooner. But when you step back and then things happen in your life, you realize it has nothing to do about the time. Like none of it has to do with, it's got to happen, and it's got to happen now. None of it. Because it does, then what? Then it's the next thing. It's the next thing that you want to be like, I got to happen, it's got to be now. So then then those things happen, right? Then you really realize that what it's about is this. I say this all the time. This. The conversation we're having right now, this present moment. It sounds so silly, it may sound corny, but like the truth of the matter is that's what this is about. And the sooner that I can enjoy more of this, the present moment, and then you pair manifestation, law of attraction, living in that frequency, that's when it all happens. And maybe I do, like that 5%. I wish that I knew, because I was so military. I'm going to do this. I'm never going to sleep. I'm not going to eat. These are the things that got to get done. I have to get done by freaking yesterday. But I do think that that's also what gave me a lot of drive to do all the things that I do now. So it's such a balance. And I'm saying that all the time, like balance is like the most important thing, I swear. Robert Downey Jr. says it's like 85%, I think he said. I swear it's like 99.9% is the balance of everything. How do you balance all of it? But again, that's where I have like a weird teeter-totter with my past self, because if I didn't learn how to mix, master, produce, sound design, engineer, sing, learn how to edit, camera work, all the things that, and I loved it. There were a lot of things in it that I did not like to do. I'll be honest with you. And still today there's stuff. They say if you do what you love, you don't have to work a day in your life. Well, that's not necessarily true, because there are things in which you love to do that you necessarily don't like doing. And it's just that simple. But why do I overcome? It needs to get done. It needs to get done. And these are the things that are going to get me a step closer towards where I want to be, right? But if it has nothing to do with where I want to be, then how do I enjoy it as much in the present moment as possible? And then you realize within that, in the work and moving forward, that it's the journey, and the progression of it. And then you get over that hurdle. It's like, I always make gym references. It was like, I said I was going to go to the gym 5 times a week. But say for a long time you've been telling yourself that, right? It's a new year coming up. We have a New Year's resolution. And for the last 3 years, you said you were going to go. Let's just say this. We're just making up a story. But you said you were going to go, but then you didn't. You fell off. The first year that you committed to it, you fell off after the first month. The second year, you maybe fell off after the first week, right? And things came up. Life happens. But then you commit this year. Well, I mean, what's going to separate it? What's going to allow you to continuously sustain that, right? Well, it's going to be enjoying the process of it, right? But the hurdle, like say you do it, right? You said you were going to do it the first year, the second year, you didn't do it either. The third year, say you did it. Now you committed and it's the end. Or say this year, you fully committed. And then you got to the end of the year, like, oh my gosh, I've been going every single day, 5 days a week, for this whole last year. I didn't want to do it, but how good do you feel? Like if you didn't go through that process, it's the same thing that I'm talking about. You never have to work a day in your life if you love what you do. It's the same thing. So then when I do that thing that I necessarily didn't want to do, I get past it and I'm like, oh my God, just like a new level of awareness. There's just little puzzle pieces that we're putting together to build our life, But it's the evolution of a human, and I do, I don't know why I do believe we all digest information differently, and we all have different parts of our brain that are active, and some things that pick up, like understanding, learning. Some people are visual learners, some people are whatever, auditory, whatever the freaking other learner is. I think that's important. What I think is most important, though, is to understand what type of learner you are, or what type of person are you, and how do you digest information, and what works for you best. I'm not like, I sit here, I wish that everything that I could say could resonate and help and better everyone's life. Like I wish that so bad, not because I want to build this big platform, because that's what I get from it. Like, this is the most let's be dead up, right? This is the most selfish thing. Like me, all the stuff that I put out there and talking about life when I should be talking about music or promoting music, but I can't help myself, right? Because what I get from it is when I see like the messages, or it genuinely connects with someone, or for the first time they have an understanding of it. Because however it was, like, not because of me, but came through me, just because I freaking talk all over the place and have stream of consciousness, it connected with them. That's what I get, these conversations, because I know in my experience how bad it felt. And then I remember the first time it clicked. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I am the own cause and effect of all my life decisions. Which it sounds so simple and like obvious as face value, like, well, obviously, you do X, this is what you get. You do Y, this is what you get. But yeah, why do we complicate it then? It's like, why can't things just be simplified? And it usually is. It's funny, like over the last year, I've realized like how much of it is usually just the simple answer. It's like, you see someone that's doing like amazing things in whatever industry maybe you're in, and you're like, how is that? Is this even real? There's got to be something behind it. There's got to be something behind it. And it's usually just a simple answer. Like, no, like they just put in the work and this happened, or this, they did what they had to do over here and then this happened, or like it's usually the simple answer. We just as human beings overcomplicate it. Why do we have to overcomplicate it? It's because there's no way, right, that it could be that simple. But we talk about this in manifestation. Someone says, talk about, let me see if someone else, but that's what it is, like law of attraction. It's not complicated. We complicate it. Meditation has changed my life. I just started doing more breath work, which I didn't realize that I have been doing breath work in like my morning routine. But breath work has really changed the game for me. Conscious breath work, because I guess I have been doing it. I realized doing a podcast the other day, someone that's really into it explained to me. They're like, bro, like, because I always said I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do breath work because like then I feel like, because I really do. If you really do breath work, then you go, oh, and you go into this like other dimension. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to do it for the wrong reasons. Like I can't trust myself. Am I really doing breath work? Like I said before earlier, I said you can't trust yourself. But am I doing it for the right reasons? But again, it's just a balance. It's just like, we'll just properly do it. But yeah, I mean, that stuff is genuinely, all of it's been life-changing. And that's what I really get from it. It really is it's the most selfless way of being selfish. But it is. It's like, I get so much from it, I get so much from it in hopes that someone else is going to connect and resonate with it. Or it changes their life or their perspective, at least, because that's what it is. All this stuff is all perspective. It's all perspective. And like I was having a bad day the other day. I'm going to say a bad day, but like, not the best day. It was pretty much like I say a day, but it was kind of like a week and a half. I was just trying to like work on music, and I was like, oh, what's the next wave? And again, because yes, I do everything myself, and I mix, master, produce, sound design, engineer, sing, write, do everything, and then come up with the content and write it. And I can very much overcomplicate it. There's not like a sounding board where like it sounds so nice, just be like, I could just show up, sing, or do whatever, and that's it. like face value, that sounds so nice. But I enjoy, I'm about to contradict what I'm about to say, but I enjoy the process when I can allow myself to enjoy the process and to not overcomplicate it. Last like week and a half, not this last week and a half, but like a week and a half, I was like going through it. It's like, it's got to be the next wave. It's got to be this particular type of music. And it's got to sound like this. And I have to do all these things. And then as a whole, it's got to sound cohesive. And it's like overcomplicated. And it's like, but that's not, and you talk about living in like frequency and all the things that I speak on, like that's not the way to like do things, you know, especially not in the creative field. Like it's just, it's never proven to work. Not for me, at least, like to force things and to put things out. It's just, I swear we live in a simulation, but it's never, you know, like the video that I have that's doing the most now, the two of them, one, it's just organic, right? I'm doing the silly dance. For one, I never wanted to do TikTok. I never wanted to do any of it because for me, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like that. I don't want to look like that. I'm a real, like I've spent lots of time and energy and effort, you know, not to lower, like to make myself look like a corny act. That's how it started, you know. I'm being dead honest. Mind you, I'm sitting here and I have a completely different outlook on it. But I think a lot of people, I watch people, like I watch TikToks, you know, I watch like all the social platforms, and a lot of people do think that way, and that's something that held me back so much. It's like, I don't want to dance, or I don't want to sing. I don't want to like lip sync, and I don't want to do this stuff. Like that's, you know, like that's how I was like, I could do that, you know. That was my genuine, like I'm being honest. I'm gonna sit here, like be as transparent. Like if I'm being judged, then I'm at least being judged for my genuine self, you know. But that's how I felt. And then here's the part that like I hope that helps someone else. If you also feel that way. Geez. For one, can I relate to you? I was that, but like excessive. Ask my manager, ask Charles. He's God bless his heart. It's like, I'm not doing any of that, bro. Like I'm not going to, and if I'm going to do it, it's going to be real singing. Like that was the excuse I created for myself, right? So just so I could shut myself up, I at least wanted to dip my foot in the water. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I have to really be singing. Like it's got to be a real live take. What were the other ones? It's got to be shot on an A7S III. It's got to be at 1.4 f-stop, like all these camera settings. I was like, it's got to be HD 4K, and it's got to be edited like this. I came up with all of these things, and I was like, then I'll do it. And I did. That's what I did. And it is not sustainable. I'm here to tell you, like, and I've been historically a workhorse, like nonstop. My work ethic, good luck touching it. Now I'm in the state of like, you know, allowing and the super heavy balance of it, but that's a story for another time. But that's what I did, and everything was live, and but it took me, you know, it's like the first take's not good enough, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, you go through like 50 takes. And then you look back and then you see the first one was actually fine. But, you know, and then you do that and then you post it and then you get 20 views, you know? And you're like, all right. Try not to like freak out about it. But then you're just like, okay, I have to detach from that, like the views. So you keep doing the 4K thing and all the editing, I sing live, and then you post it. And then you realize, then you start seeing other people and they're like 10xing what I'm doing. You know, like content creation wise and putting out. And I'm just like, oh my, and I think a big part, like I said earlier in music, I was getting so frustrated. Like, and if you scroll down to below my TikTok, I wouldn't suggest you do it, but you have more than happy to see what I'm talking about. We left them up there. I'm very curious what someone would think now and be like, oh yeah, they're good. Or like, I have no idea, or they're not. It's irrelevant though, right? Because it's part of my journey and my process of letting go, because that's where I really want this whole conversation to go. It's just the process of letting go of all these things that we think we know how it's done or what we need to do next. Because a lot of times we don't, but we'll come up with new information that tell us that we do know, to take the next step. But I do think a lot of those times you need to take a few of those steps to realize that you're on the wrong path, right? Fail and fail fast. That you're on the wrong path so that you could move forward in the right direction, and take those mistakes. There's no such thing as a mistake as long as you learn something from it, right? Pretty straightforward. But that's what I did nonstop until I realized I almost just wanted to like not do music. I was making it so complicated. And then I started doing cover stuff, which I was so against. But I knew that it would be a lot. Like I would be able to let go a lot more in the cover stuff. And I could, at least that's what I hoped at first. I could let go a lot of it. The song's already done. It's already written. I just produced a little something around it. And then I put it out. My biggest thing with that was like, if I do that, then how is that going to translate to my original music? I was like, people are going to just want me to then sing covers. And it's not what I do. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not. Like I make music, like if they're going to see a cover, they're saying, oh my gosh, sing Celine Dion next. I was like, I'm not. But, what it did help me with was like the process of letting go. Because I would make the edits and I would do it really quick and yeah, it helped a lot. And even though I really didn't want to do it. But then when I brought it back to making original music, I was like, I found so many more, I don't want to call them shortcuts, but I found much better ways of doing things so that I could sustain it, and it helped and it changed the game. And then I started letting go little by little. And the two things that I said I never wanted to freaking do on TikTok or social media, the universe is hilarious. But the two things, lip sync and dance, I'm not a natural, anyone that thinks I dance, for one, thank you. I don't. Like, respect to all real dancers out there. And I hope that the real dancers out there don't think I'm disrespecting them. I'm not, I'm just vibing. That's how it happened. But the two things that I didn't want to do, the two things is what started all this. After going through all the things, I'm not going to edit this. I got to put this out. These are the things nonstop. How can I put as much content out there and be sustainable, letting go of all these things? Then it gets to the roadblock and you just hope, everyone at the end of the day, the word viral is such like, oh, don't say viral and don't say whatever. But, we're in the day and the age of the internet. And if you put things on social media, whether you're a business, an artist, whatever you do, that's your hope, right? That it reaches a mass amount of people because it connected or resonated with them that much, right? Or the algorithm liked it. Like, it's that simple. We do hope those things. So that was what happened for me. And it was the two things I didn't want to do. But I had to go through that whole process of letting go. There's no way. And to explain what I'm talking about is the whisper stuff. Anyone saw the whisper body stuff? Oh, that was a third thing. I definitely didn't want to be shirtless. I was never shirtless. You could fact check this. Maybe I posted one thing on like a story of me at the gym, but that was the third thing. I didn't want to freaking lip sync. I didn't want to dance. I don't consider myself a dancer. And I definitely didn't want to use my body. Like, I know it sounds silly, but I just always thought, like, out of insecurities, like, what are people going to think? Or it's going to take away from the validation, like, of my music. And I don't want to use that, But it happened organically. The whole whisper thing, I didn't want to film that day. If Charles is, I'm on live for this other camera, but if my manager Charles is on here, he could validate. It was just organic, we just went to go film. We knew we needed to film content. We only filmed that one song. I don't even know what I was thinking with the dance thing. And I didn't want to change. Like, I had left the gym, we went to a car meet. And I didn't want to change. But I was like, non-negotiable. I said I was going to do it. And so we did it. And it was just like a vibe. I would love if we had that original. We have to find that video. That would be awesome. But it's like the two things you don't know. Whatever you're going after in life. It could be the same thing that I'm doing or whatever. Like, it literally could be anything. Switch the word. It's that simple. Switch the word. Anything it's just like, how do you get out of your own way? I mean, I feel like the answer's in the question too. You know, how do you get out of your own way? Just do it, you know? And you also, very important, I say this all the time, you are the 5 people you spend most of your time. If you're fortunate enough to have 5 friends, that's what's up. But you are the 5 people you spend most of your time around. That's what it is. So simple. So for me, the people that I was associating with, again, everyone I feel is at a different level. There's no level worse than the other. Everyone's going through it. If I didn't, on level 3 for me, if I didn't understand that information and digest it, level 3 was so important for me. I'm just making up a number, but level 3 was so important for me that if I didn't have that information now, I would be at a loss. So every level is super important, but I knew that the people and the frequency and the things that I was doing and the people that I was associating with were not moving me forward towards where I wanted to be. And you could say it's, oh, that's so mean, or those people. Then, like, you know, I can't help you. Like, you gotta cut those people out of your life. Like, it's that simple. Yet I get it can be hard, because why? We overcomplicate it. So, you know, but they've really been there. That's the hard one. And trust me, I could resonate with that. That's the hard one. When someone's like really been there for you through your stuff, and then you came up out of your stuff. You rised up. What do they say? Rised up like the phoenix or the ashes, whatever. Then you rised up, right? They were there for you. They supported you or whatever. They were just there for you. And then because of that, then you overcame it and you started doing your thing. And then poof, you know, your life started going, oh, awesome, amazing, you're doing amazing. And then they're going through the same thing, right? So it was only right, that it's like, okay, well, you were there for me, like, I got to be there for you. And just because I want to, right? I want to be there for you. And then you try and walk them through the same thing, different scenario, but same type of be there for them as they were you. But then it's like the same thing. They keep going down the same path. And you're like, you know, same path. You're trying to help them again, same path. Recycle, repeat, right? When's the point where you let go of that? And I understand that's hard, you know, especially when it's the people you love. When's the point you let go of that? When you're like, okay, the definition of insanity, consistently doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. When's the point that you realize it's insane, and that you being there, whether it's like codependence or enabling or whatever the case may be, or you're just there to support, is not making the situation any better? And how do you step from that without actually feeling resentment towards yourself for like, oh, but they were there. You know, they're just having a bit harder over time. There's got to come a point, I'm just telling you as an individual, if you're dealing with that and there's someone in your life and you try to, you got to break it. Like I get it can be hard, you know, like I get it, but you just got to break it. You just, and for the best, you know, it's better for both of you. No one realizes this at the time, but you should. And especially after this conversation, because you're worth more. And it also doesn't make you, it's not like, oh, well, then does that make me better than someone else? No, that you went through something, they were there, and then you went through it, you know, for the first time or whatever, like sooner than they did in their trial and error. It's like a point, you know, because I say this all the time, you wake up every single day with a battery pack. What's the Energizer Bunny? You have that battery pack on your back every single day. You wake up, it gets full. Where are you divvying that up throughout your day? You know, you'd be lucky if you had 5 friends and you're divvying like that much energy. And we're not even talking about the stuff that you have to do throughout the day. If you're giving that much energy to 1 to 5 of those people a day, where are you just like, then what do you got going on? Like, where's that energy for yourself, you know? And then that slowly starts to wither. You start doing that over a long period of time. It's, just got to cut it, you know? I get it can be difficult, but it's not. Don't even think of it like that. Don't even say it like that. It's easy. I'm in the next chapter of my life. I was there, I supported, I knew I did the best that I possibly could. This is the time that I step away and let go. Back to the main point, right? But I don't even know why I went off on that topic. But all these topics are super, super important. I could talk about these things all day, every day. But they're all intertwined. And I think it's bigger than just saying manifestation, or for me to hop on and just talk about music, or because all of it, no matter what you're going after, is all these things that I'm talking about intertwined. And I just hope that anyone could resonate or pick up what I'm saying and relate it to their life, and that it helps or benefits, or they can move forward with whatever they're going through. That's genuinely all I hope, because I do as well love having these conversations and talking about these things, just because I know how much it has helped my life, and I know how difficult I made it for so many years. And I see so many stories and so many comments, and I'm so grateful to have so many people that are on the same wave and mentality, and that are also open to being open up to being so vulnerable on social media, or just in the comments, because a lot of that stuff and letting it go and talking about it is so important. And there are also a lot of people that, everyone's got an opinion, and that's totally fine. Come to my page, lay your opinion. Just don't, I said this and I posted it the other day, but that's probably my biggest quarrel, I guess you could say, if that's a word. The thing that irks me the most is when people are being positive and someone comes in and tries to freaking tear their train down. You do it to me, you come on my page and do it to me. It's worse. It'll be worse for you, in the sense that if you do that, you're putting out that energy. I'm not reciprocating it. It might pass by. I'm not going to respond to it. Again, like I spoke on earlier, it doesn't make anything better for anybody else. But I understand that you're also hurting to do something like that. Which it's funny, because I feel like I've said these things recently, and then people will just have nicer mean comments. They'll be like, not to be disrespectful. It's like a backhanded comment or a compliment. But yeah, it just kind of comes with the territory too. But yeah, try to show empathy if you do deal with those people, you have those people in your life, or coworkers, or whatever you do throughout your day. Just always know that when you see them getting heated, especially I see that if someone's road raging, I'm just like, oh, for one, I stay far away. Freaking hit me. But you just realize oh my gosh, something's really going on in their life. You think people are just freaking angry for no reason? I'm sure, someone will be like, of course, there's people that are just, I'm sure. But the point that I'm trying to make is there's usually always a cause of why that person at some point in their life got to the place that they're at now in this moment to be upset. It's usually a cause. It's not like they just woke up as a baby and they're super angry. Maybe, but probably not. Probably not. So when you have that awareness, you then realize it's such a dead giveaway, especially if anybody else deals with it in comments or social media or real life. People are really going to go, it's such a dead giveaway. Once you have that awareness, you're like, damn, you're really hurting, huh? Someone says something. They're like, what are you talking about? I never said this. I just said your stuff sucks or whatever I said. And you're like, bro, it's okay. It's all right. It makes them so much more mad, which is not the intention, So it's just kind of you don't want to make those people that are going through it any more upset. Just kind of just let go, let go of all of it. So anyways, I hope this unscripted, unscheduled video that I filmed, I hope it resonates, or someone got something from it. But I see the sun coming out. I committed to the gym. I'm going to do some edits. And yeah, grateful to be here. And I love you guys. I love you.